In this video, we're going to go through the daily operational process of bringing in a project from AutoQuote and taking it all the way through the system till the time we invoice the actual customer. So to do that, under the Maintenance tab, we select Import. Here where we select Import AutoQuotes. This is my JSON project that I downloaded from the AutoQuote screens and put onto my server, and this is the customer that we're putting the project together for. So once you have that JSON file, you select Import. First thing it's going to do is it's going to verify that the vendors on that project are already in your positive as vendors, and so it says the vendors are linked. The next step is to hit Continue. Here are all the items that are on that project. Anything that is not linked, all you do is click Verify All, and that will make sure that the descriptions and all the information that is in the AutoQuote project is now in the positive and creates all those inventory items for you. Click Continue. Now we're looking to match the customer. Since there's no address here, we're going to change the matching customer to Cabela's, and that way it's for that particular customer. So we hit Continue again. I've not touched the keyboard, and most of the time I don't have to touch the keyboard. I can do everything with the mouse. Continue. The import is complete. I'm going to close that. Let's now go over to Transactions, Pending, Quote. Now, this quote should match your AutoQuote's proposal in word for word, character for character. All the notes, everything is in here, including the AutoQuote line numbers. So, now that we have that, we'll go ahead and print it just to see what it looks like. And we'll go ahead and show the costs. So here is our document of the items that we're bringing in. So we're going to convert this now to an actual sales order and commit our inventory. So with this highlighted, we hit Convert and convert to sales order. We also have the ability to do a partial convert. So now these items are in the document, and we show what is back ordered, what is not back ordered. So we'll save this. We'll put the customer's purchase order number in, and we'll use Al Heller as our contact. The date that we feel that we'll be able to ship this out, or the due date, we feel is the 20th. Do we want to apply a partial payment against this? If we say yes, it'll say how much, and we're going to do $50,000. That brings up our tender screen, and we say customer is giving us a check for $50,000, and here is the check number. Printing the order looks just like the actual quote. We'll print it anyhow. We're going to hide the costs, and then here is our order, notifying that we did get $50,000 in advance payment. Okay, so it's no longer under the Quotes tab, it's now under the Sales Order tab. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create a purchase order for this particular order to Cabela's. So we're going to say we want to create a purchase order. And here's a list of items that would be coming directly to our location. If we're going to drop ship it, we would move these items under the drop ship tab, or if we want to put it on hold and not release a purchase order until later, we can do that. In this case, we're going to bring everything into our warehouse. So we're going to say tag all. It says it's going to the purchase order, and we'll convert tag purchase orders to PO. So now we're in the PO operations system, and we are going to tag all, and we are going to say that we wish to create purchase orders, and we'll close. All right, let's go to our purchasing system. And here are the two POs for that particular sales order. So I'm going to release those orders. I can make modifications at this point by adding additional information or putting notes, but once I've released the purchase order, I can't change anything until it's been received. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say place and edit and save and process. I could print the purchase order, email the purchase order. Let me print this purchase order. And here's all the information on the purchase order with the auto quote line items, the full spec, all the notes that were on the original project is being shown here. So everything that was on the original quote and sales order has now been moved to the purchase order, so the vendor knows exactly what's going out and any specific notes that apply to him. Okay, let's do the second one. And we won't bother printing that. Okay, so that has been done. Now, a couple of days later, the product comes in and we're going to receive it. So we click on the Receive POs, and you'll notice we have filters here. We can filter on a specific vendor's PO or a specific employee who created that purchase order. I'll select all for all vendors. I will then select Receive. It's asking for a packing slip or invoice number, and if there's any freight and the date it's arriving. Then I'm going to say Receive All, and this will receive all the quantities on that order. If I have an issue, I can double click that line and change the quantity to be received. Maybe I didn't receive this one. It'll still be on an open PO if I don't receive it. So once that's done, I then go into say I want it received now. And it said it filled my back order. I'll do the same for the next one. So the second vendor, receive all, and receive now. So what that's done is it's put the items into inventory for me. If I look at my accounting system and look at accounts payable, those two invoices are listed here. So that gives us the ability to see the items that did come in and was used in our accounting system and in our inventory system. So now if I go back to my transactions pending and I go to my sales order, you'll see I have nothing back ordered anymore. Everything has blue check marks and they all say that everything is here. So at this time I can go ahead and say I want to convert this sales order to an actual invoice. Here's a salesperson. Here's all the line items that are on there. We can certainly add more items if we wish. We're going to go ahead and hit tender, and we're going to put it on store account, and we're going to click OK. Now we've exceeded our credit limit, so we have to adjust the credit limit. Now either we adjust it or we allow this charge to go through without validating against the credit limit. Click OK. Moved into it. Here is our invoice. Once again, everything that was on the auto quote proposal is now on the invoice. We click OK. So now it is in our invoice history. That's the item we just did. Now, in payables, now that we've got the invoice, if we go into our accounts payable processing, here are the two invoices. I do have the ability to change these if necessary. Like for this first invoice, if I click Edit, and I find that there's been a change to the heat shield, I can highlight that line, click Edit, and change my cost to $265. The price went up on that. So that thing that we just did with that cost change, it went out into inventory and fixed the item that was received in on that PO and made the price $265. So it will correct the costs that are living in our inventory that were received on that PO. So if everything's good here, I click Save. And now I'm going to take these invoices and I'm going to move them into actual accounts payable. Right now, when they were received, they were a debit to inventory. They were a credit to purchases clearing. Now I want to take them out of purchases clearing and move them into accounts payable. So I click these two and I hit Post Approved. And it creates a new batch. Now here are my posted invoices. They are in accounts payable now. And if I want to pay these, I can either pay specific by date range. I can pay one invoice and not the other. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and say pay all. So now there's my invoices to be paid. And I'm going to go ahead and process paid. And here they are. And process. I'll preview. And what those are going to do, they're going to give those what we call remittance advice sheets. They can go inside the checks. If you have multiple line items, they could go inside the check as a extra sheet. Okay, so those are out of there, and now they're in my history. Here's the batch we just did. Here's prior batches. Now we're going to actually cut the checks. So we go to checkbook, and as you can see, here's all our invoices. that were paid, and you'll notice these two don't have check numbers. This gives us the ability, if the customer wants to handwrite his checks, all he needs to do is to double click, highlight, and say I want to edit. He can put the check number in here. I'm going to print the checks, and I need to see what my last check number was, and that was 169.26. And that's my next check number in the box. One check per page. I'm going to preview these so we can see on the screen what it's going to look like and print the checks. And here we see that the two checks were cut for two separate vendors. So now they have, if I go to the top here again, now they have the actual check numbers here. Okay, so let's go back over to our transactions, pending sales orders, and we see there's nothing left in our sales orders because we've invoiced it. And that kind of is the process going all the way through. Now, let's just say the money came in for those invoices. So we go to AR Payments, we go to AR Payment Center, or we can use the customer payment screen, find Carrabba's and select, and here you can see they owe us this dollar amount because we took the deposit and included it in our payment transaction. So now we're going to take and pay this invoice. So we can click the enter payment, and that puts it in. And if they only paid us $100,000, it would leave the balance still on the open receivables. So I'm going to say take tender. It's letting me know that this is what I'm taking. How is it being paid? By check. What is the check number? I can print a receipt, and that receipt would show that this thing was paid in full. And would you want to select another customer? Now, one of the other features we have in this is the ability to reverse a payment. So if we go to our AR Payments, AR Payment Center, and we go to Reverse Transaction, here's at Cabela's, we can reverse this if this money was applied to the wrong customer in error. And that will take it back out of our cash and put it back into open receivables again, so we can pay it when we get the actual check from them. So that's the overall process of a daily operation, from taking the project from AutoQuotes and moving it through the entire system